when I think about, how to build a roadmap for RevOps, I'll tell you how it typically goes and why that's bad. Typically, somebody's got a document somewhere with a bunch of asks, and it's like, okay, it's time to go put it in an artifact. And they go and they document all that. And then plenty of times they bring their stakeholders and themselves, and they have a really fun meeting where they brainstorm more projects. And then they put a bunch more, as if we didn't have enough work, let's all brainstorm more work that we could try to figure out. And then you typically put it into like, all right, let's do level of effort and impact, try to plot it and try to go from there. If you've ever done that exercise, all the consultants are like, yeah, we've played that game. Great. What do you get? You get like 2 low hanging fruits of high impact, low effort. Cool. We'll do those. And then a bunch of high effort, low impact. We'll get rid of those. And then you're pretty much left with like a few in like high impact, high effort. That's where they all are. It's like every ask that we have is like there. And then there's some that like, start teetering down. So that doesn't really help us. We end up with like, great, we can do 2 out of these like 25 that we brainstormed. So instead, and this is like design thinking principles, and product teams are very good at this, and we should borrow this more, but it's like, what are we solving for? Like, what's the actual gap that we're in? How can we be like gap first thinkers and say, hey, I looked at our analytics, or I interviewed our customers, or I did rep rides, and I found out that our biggest issue is that, we're not getting back to leads within a day and sometimes 3 days, and our competitors are getting there first. So great. I don't have a bunch of like projects. I have one initiative, which is to have all leads followed up within 2 hours. I can go build a bunch of, it could be tools, it could be training, it could be whatever. And what I find is most people don't have that thing that they're anchoring on. Their roadmap looks like implement Gong, create XYZ dashboard, implement CPQ. And it just looks like those projects. It doesn't have the story back. And that's what makes, RevOps teams feel tactical. That's what makes them feel like support functions, because they're not telling you a story. They're not really telling you what their impact is.
And do you base that all around the funnel? Like, is RevOps the master of the funnel? And then you kind of just look at the funnel, you're diagnosing these issues, and then you build the roadmap around that. Is that the right way to think about it?
That's one of the biggest categories. Then the other one is supporting kind of big strategic moves. So some of them might be, all right, we're now implementing a PLG function. That's going to have a whole lot of work that wasn't, part of our old funnel. It's like new features. And, there's sometimes annoying work, like I have to go and deprecate a bunch of things that are getting in the way, a bunch of tech debt. There's like, architectural work like that has to happen that is not fun for anyone. And there's probably a few other categories of just like, ongoing enhancements for rep productivity, for example.
And then I'm going to stay with the funnel a second, then we'll get back to the customer question. Like, should RevOps own a funnel meeting? Like, is that a thing that should be happening, where there's this funnel meeting that's happening at a company, you're diagnosing these issues that goes into the roadmap? Like, we try to do something like that at Lattice. That's why I'm curious if that was kind of what you see a lot or no.
They should at least own a section of that meeting. So I do think that ultimately, if RevOps is not rolling up to a leader that is essentially telling them exactly what to do, and they have a leader that's allowing them to break down basically the silos that we're saying we're able to, then RevOps should be joining these funnel meetings, whatever that might look like, sales and marketing alignment meetings or go-to-market meetings, and coming there with insights and basically being able to say, all right, friends, here are all the analytics that you asked about. Here's what's going on in the funnel. Here's what we think you need to do next. And then the other type of big thing that RevOps does is we need to be bringing decisions to the team about what's priority and what's not. So again, we typically have a really long backlog. What are we working on? Because if we ask, our sales leader, marketing leader, CS leader, we're going to get 3 different answers. So a lot of times we are that team that's kind of bringing that cohesion.
So that's a good segue. Who's the customer? Is it the sales?
Yeah.
Is it marketing? Who is it?
Great. I love it. I don't like using the word customer, because I think it muddies the waters. Our customer is the same. Like, we have one customer. Our customer is the customer. And so I try to keep that language really clear, where I can have stakeholders and I can have users. And so it's still really important that I'm ultimately building a go-to-market platform. Like, that's what I'm building. I'm just building it on Salesforce and HubSpot and other things. But my job as RevOps is to create the processes and tooling so like my go-to-market team can be really successful. I'm building them a product. And so, they're my user, right? Like if I really think about it like that, like, great, my user, what do they need, etc. But, the same way that Asana doesn't talk about how they are making you track tasks better, they're helping you, get more projects done and achieve success. It's like, well, we are essentially, like, of course, we're helping the go-to-market team execute their tasks, but we're doing that on behalf of the customer, right? So that we can maximize revenue, so that we can make their sales cycles better, so that when they interact with us, we have the right answers. We're not repeating questions. We're getting you documentation and contracts, et cetera, really quickly. And so, in some ways, like if I really, back myself into a corner, yeah, like our go-to-market team are our customers. They are the ones using what we deliver, but we can't lose sight of the fact that, our customers are our customers.